Midnight to 0:30, hook. The FIRE community says 25x your annual expenses. That's the number. If you spend $60,000 a year, you need $1.5 million. That's what Benjamin's research says, right? Except that's not quite right. The 25x rule assumes a 30-year retirement, meaning you retire at 65. If you retire at 40, you need 50 years of money. That's a completely different calculation. Today I'm showing you the real math, and a surprising finding: for people who are flexible about a few variables, the actual number can be significantly smaller than you've been told. 0:30 to 1:30, intro. This video is for people thinking about early retirement, FIRE, semi-retirement, work optional living. If you're planning to retire at a traditional age from a traditional career, the standard 4% rule advice is probably fine for you. If you're thinking about retiring at 40, 45, or 50, the math is different enough that getting this wrong could cost you a decade of working life, either by oversaving unnecessarily or by retiring too early with an insufficient portfolio. Today we're covering why the 25x rule breaks down for early retirees, variable withdrawal strategies that reduce your required nest egg by 15 to 20%, how Social Security changes the equation even for early retirees, geo-arbitrage and barista FIRE as legitimate number reducers, and how to calculate your own personal number using a 3-variable formula. 1:30 to 4 o'clock, why 25x breaks down for early retirees. The 25x rule, or equivalently, the 4% rule, was derived from historical U.S. market data covering retirement periods of up to 30 years. It was never designed for 40 or 50-year retirements. Here's the math of why it matters. The 4% rule means, in the worst historical starting conditions, a portfolio maintained at 4% withdrawals annually lasted 30 years without hitting zero. The success probability for a 30-year period using the standard 4% rule and a stock bond portfolio, approximately 95%. Extend that to a 40-year retirement, success probability drops to approximately 87 to 90% under historical conditions. For a 50-year retirement, which is what a 40-year-old retiring today needs to plan for, the success probability drops further, to approximately 80 to 85%. An 80% success rate sounds decent until you realize it means a 20% chance of running out of money in your lifetime. That is not an acceptable risk level for most people. The safe withdrawal rate for a 50-year retirement using historical data, approximately 3.3% to 3.5%. Not 4%. At 3.3%, the 25x rule becomes a 30x rule. You need 30 times your annual spending, not 25 times. The difference, if you spend $60,000 per year. 4% rule, you need $1,500,000. 3.3% rule, you need $1,818,000. That's an additional $318,000 you need to save before retiring. At $30,000 per year in savings, that's more than 10 additional years of working. The math matters. 4 to 6:30, variable withdrawal, the solution most people don't know. Here's the insight that changes the early retirement math significantly. The primary reason the 4% rule fails over long horizons is sequence of returns risk, hitting bad market years early in retirement when your portfolio is largest. The solution is flexibility. Guardrail-based or variable withdrawal strategies allow you to take a higher initial withdrawal rate, even 5%, while reducing the risk of portfolio failure to comparable levels as a 3.3% rigid rule, because you commit to reducing withdrawals during market downturns. The Guyton-Klinger guardrail approach for early retirees. Starting rate, 5%. You withdraw 5% of your initial portfolio balance in year 1. Annual adjustment rule, inflation adjust the withdrawal each year, and less. Your actual withdrawal rate rises above 6% of current portfolio value, because the portfolio has declined, in which case cut withdrawals by 10%. Your actual withdrawal rate falls below 4% of current portfolio value, because the portfolio has surged, in which case you can raise withdrawals by 10%. The psychological requirement: in bad market years, you genuinely spend 10% less. This is the only binding commitment the strategy requires. Modeling results from Monte Carlo simulations over 50-year periods, A 5% initial withdrawal with guardrails has approximately the same portfolio survival rate as a rigid 3.3% rule, roughly 80 to 85% success, but provides substantially higher real income in most scenarios. What does 10% less spending feel like? If you're living on $60,000 normally, a 10% cut is $6,000, about $500 per month less in discretionary spending. For most people, this means fewer restaurant meals, a scaled-back vacation, and reduced discretionary purchases. It is survivable and arguably manageable if you've already committed to it in advance. 630 to 830, Social Security, the free risk reducer. Here is the most overlooked variable in early retirement planning, especially in the FIRE community: Social Security. If you retire at 40, you won't collect Social Security at 40. But you'll collect it starting at 62 at the earliest, at a significant reduction, or at 67 for full benefits. That means your portfolio only needs to carry the full load for 22 to 27 years before a supplemental income source kicks in. Let's model this. $60,000 per year in spending. You retire at 40. At 67, you'll receive approximately $18,000 per year in Social Security benefits. Based on your work history through age 40, the actual amount depends on your lifetime earnings and is lower than what a 65-year-old retiree would get. From age 40 to 67, portfolio must fund all $60,000 per year, 27 years. From age 67 onward, portfolio only needs to fund $42,000 per year, the remaining $18,000 comes from Social Security. This changes the Monte Carlo survival rate dramatically. A 4% withdrawal rate on a $1.5 million portfolio, tapering at age 67 to $42,000 per year, only 2.8% of the original portfolio, has a success rate well above 90% even over a 50-year horizon. The implication: if you can model Social Security into your retirement plan realistically, not assuming zero, which many FIRE calculators encourage, your required portfolio may be $200,000 to $400,000 smaller than the pure no Social Security calculation suggests. 830 to 1030, Arbitrage and Barista FIRE. Two strategies that can meaningfully reduce your required portfolio without compromising your retirement quality. Arbitrage * retire to a lower cost of living country or region. If you currently need $60,000 per year in the US and you move somewhere where you can maintain equivalent quality of life for $30,000 per year, Mexico, Portugal, Colombia, parts of Southeast Asia, your required portfolio at 4% drops from $1.5 million to $750,000. That's not a small difference. The foreign earned income exclusion lets Americans living abroad exclude approximately $120,000 of foreign earned income from US federal taxes. If you have location-independent income, freelance, remote work, online business, this can significantly extend portfolio longevity. Not everyone wants to move abroad, and I'm not suggesting everyone should. But for the viewer who is genuinely open to it, Arbitrage is the most powerful portfolio size reducer available. Barista FIRE * the hybrid approach: you stop the intense career grind but maintain part-time or lower stress work that covers basic living expenses. Your investments compound undisturbed. If you earn $20,000 per year from part-time work and need $60,000 for living expenses, your portfolio only needs to fund $40,000 per year. At 4%, that's a $1 million portfolio instead of $1,500,000. A $500,000 difference, potentially 5 to 8 fewer years of aggressive saving. The psychological benefit: Barista FIRE gives your identity something to hold on to during the transition from full-time work, while your financial engine continues building. 1030 to 1230, your 3-variable personal number. Here is the formula for your personal number. Show on screen. Variable 1: annual spending * be honest and specific. Include housing, rent or imputed rent on an owned home, food, transportation, healthcare. This is a major wildcard for U.S. early retirees. Model $600 to $1,200 per month for ACA marketplace coverage until Medicare at 65, travel, entertainment, and irregular expenses. Most people underestimate by 10 to 20%. Variable 2: flexibility score * on a scale of 1 to 3. 1 equals rigid: you cannot reduce spending during a down market. 2 equals moderate: you can cut discretionary spending 10 to 15% in bad years. 3 equals highly flexible, you can take on part-time work, move, or cut aggressively if needed. Flexibility score 1, use 3.3% rule, 30x spending. Flexibility score 2, use 3.75% rule, 27x spending. Flexibility score 3, use 4.5% rule, 22x spending. Variable 3, Social Security reduction asterisk estimate your Social Security benefit at 67 based on your current work history, available at ssa.gov. Subtract that amount from your annual spending to get your portfolio funded spending. Apply your withdrawal rate to the portfolio funded amount only. Example calculation asterisk. Annual spending, $70,000. Flexibility score, 227x multiplier. Social Security at 67, $16,000 per year portfolio funded spending, $70,000 minus $16,000 equals $54,000. Portfolio needed, $54,000 times 27 equals $1,458,000. This investor doesn't need $1.75 million as a rigid calculation would suggest. They need $1.46 million, a $290,000 difference that could be many years of working life. 1230 to 1400 hours, CTA. The real number for early retirement is a range, not a point estimate. Build your personal calculation using the 3-variable formula, and model Social Security realistically rather than ignoring it. I use Personal Capital, now called Empower, to track my portfolio against my personal FIRE number in real time. It connects to all accounts, shows withdrawal rate calculations, and is completely free. Link in the description. There's also a retirement calculator link that runs the Monte Carlo simulation. You input your spending, flexibility score, and Social Security estimate, and it shows portfolio survival rates over 30, 40, and 50 years. Subscribe for 2 daily videos. And comment your own FIRE number calculation. I want to see what numbers people are working with and whether this framework changes how you think about your target.